Good afternoon everybody and welcome to Will on Safety and another instalment of Toolbox Talk Tuesdays. Today we're going to talk about basic machinery safety, and the reason we're going to talk about basic machinery safety is the fact that misused machines can be as harmful as they are helpful. So machines that cut metal, they can detach fingers, hands, arms, they can punch through steel, and because of that, they can certainly punch through your flesh. So a couple of safety points to note then. You need to be alert to these areas when working around operating machinery. So the point of operation. What do we mean by point of operation? Well, the point of operation, that's where the work takes place. So if you're on a lathe, it might be where you put that, piece to be worked within the machine. That would be the point of operation. The other sort of part of machinery you need to understand is the powertrain. All right, so that's where energy is transferred, and that's through things like gears, shafts, belts, cables, hydraulic or pneumatic cylinders. So it's all those machinery mechanisms that are going to power that machine to do and carry out its task. All right. So the couple of safety points you need to remember: the point of operation, where the part that needs to be machined is going to be placed. That's the point of operation. And the powertrain, all those different components of the machine that actually power that machine to be able to do its task. So workers must control machines extremely carefully. Okay, so in addition to avoiding the powertrain and avoiding the point of operation, employees should always, make sure machines are anchored securely to the floor. The reason we say about machine anchoring is as the machine's rotating, sometimes some different machines are rotated at high speeds. It can cause, if they're not anchored, a rocking sensation on the machine. It can also make the machine a lot louder. If it's not anchored down in situ, what happens is the noise of the machine reverberates. That can create a much higher decibel level than the machine's designed for. That could also cause hearing loss and things. So it's super important that we make sure it's anchored securely. And that's to prevent walking, where the machine sort of moves, all right, tipping, excessive vibration, or other movement that could be considered hazardous. Next up then is never reach blindly into areas that may contain energized parts. Okay, we're not just talking about when the machine's turned on. Obviously, if the machine's turned on, you start reaching into different energized areas, electrical areas. Okay, what can happen then is you're going to get an electric shock, and we understand that almost every individual understands what electricity can do to the body, and they understand if something's switched on, the chances of that electrical shock increases. But we also need to bear in mind, we need to think about when the machine's turned off as well. Okay, a lot of machines, especially high power machines, might contain things like capacitors, for example. What they are is they are storage devices. So even though the machine's switched off, if you do come into contact with a high power capacitor, that stores electrical charge, and that will cause a significant electrical shock. So we need to be careful not to reach blindly into energized areas, all those areas with the potential to contain energized bits and pieces of equipment, whether the machine is on or off. Okay, so next then, we need to make sure there's enough lighting so we can see all the different parts of the working operation. Okay, if there's not enough lighting, That's going to cause us to potentially reach into areas which we can't see very well. It might have hidden dangers that we would be able to see if there was more lighting in and around the machine. So we need to, be fully lit up so we can see all the different operations of the machine, so we can keep ourselves safe. We need to think about conductive items, especially watches, jewellery, things like wedding bands and things like that, for example. Okay, so anything conductive, we need to keep away from those exposed electrical parts. I have done videos on jewellery in the workplace. Ideally, it should be removed. It's not just an electric shock problem, but there's potential, especially when working in and around machines, for it to get entangled, and then that's going to cause you an issue. But from jewellery being conductive, if that does come into contact with any of those energised parts, it's going to give you a short, sharp shock. All right. Next up then is never plug or unplug electrical equipment with wet hands. Goes without saying. All right, water is a superconductor. All right, if you've got wet hands, maybe there is some damage to the electrical cabling. If that's the case, those wet hands, you're going to be superconductive. As soon as you touch anything electrical, you're going to get a bolt. Next up then, lockout tag out. My word, this is such a big subject, and I'm going to cover a whole video on lockout tag out. But the fundamentals of it are, when we're talking about basic machine safety, is, if we need to change things, like maybe you have to do a tool change, maybe we have to conduct some maintenance, maybe we have to get into the point of operation part of the machine to do something. Okay, we need to make sure the machine's locked and tagged out. The sort of rule of thumb with this is, if you have to pass any safety critical devices, be that guarding, light curtains, anything like that, the machine needs to be locked and tagged out. Okay, for more information on that, keep an eye out. Hit the subscribe button, give me a like, hit that notification bell, because when I post about lockout tag out, you'll be informed that a new video is up and online. Okay. Next up then is always wear the proper protective equipment for each job. All right, safety boots, safety glasses, gloves in some instances. Whatever that piece of work requires in terms of personal protective equipment, make sure you're wearing it. If we're not wearing the PPE, if something does go awry, the cause of injury is just going to be increased, sort of tenfold, really. Things like safety glasses, especially when we're talking about machinery, all right, because there is potential for ejected materials to come from that machine, depending on how it's guarded. So always wear the correct, protective equipment. So be aware of the danger zones located within your operation. Always respect the power of machinery you work with every day. If you do happen to come across any issues, broken guarding, maybe broken electrics, water in and around electrical components, anything like that, raise it to a supervisor. I would encourage everybody that works with machines to do a sort of pre-use check. So start a shift, before your shift starts, go around your machine, make sure there's nothing glaring which needs to be rectified. Okay, switch it on, get it turning and burning, and then make sure your safety critical devices are working, light curtains are working, emergency stops are working. Okay, we want to make sure all those safeguards are in place, adequate and working well. If you have any concerns about a piece of machinery you're expected to work on, stop what you're doing, raise those concerns. Get those concerns rectified and then carry on with your job. That's it for today's Toolbox Talk Tuesday. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you're not a subscriber already, please hit that subscribe button. It's free to do. It grows my community. There's going to be loads more videos being posted as well, both toolbox talks and sort of general safety videos. Give me a like, hit the notification bell. That'll just inform you whenever I post new content. And if you want to cover a specific subject, be that health and, any sort of health and safety subject, drop me a comment. If you have any other sort of safety points, that you think about when you're dealing with machinery, drop a comment in for me. I try to reply to all the comments. So, yeah, I appreciate them. I appreciate you all for watching. But until next time, folks, remember, safe by choice, not by chance. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.